this will be audible, but it seemed to me that the last time I tried a live streaming video, the audio was a bit louder. Now I'm in the car and the engine is running because it's a little bit chilly, and I'm about to take a trip to the petrol station to take a pipe back to Amazon. You have to hand it in at the petrol station these days. And then I'm going to probably go and get a bite to eat in the village, just to get out of the house really. The weather's been pretty poor the last few days, and I've not got out all that much, although I did go up into the hills on Sunday in the rain, and or in very inclement weather and threatening weather, and ultimately I did get completely wet, because it started to come down when I was right up on top, and it was getting darker, and I came down really pitch dark. I could hardly see where I was putting my feet, and it was a bit odd for a while, but you know, doing that helps to focus the mind, I suppose, a little bit. I do find that going up to the hills in the dusk is interesting, because if I do meet anybody and chat, it's usually going to be an interesting sort of chat. And there's a chance that it might happen, because, you know, not many souls wander up there at certain times of night, and certainly in inclement weather. Although the only person that I met in inclement weather on Sunday night, I think it was the Spirit of the Living God. There was nobody else up there. The weather was really too bad for that. But it was still nice, you know. I got back to the car and I managed to get dry pretty reasonably. And the rain had by then eased off, and I even smoked a pipe as I contemplated the little valley that I was parked in with another few cars. There's usually a few cars up there, courting couples perhaps, I'm not sure. It's a lovely spot. But all encounters, once you've embarked on a certain path, and you know, I've previously referred to it almost as a path of sorcery, but really I now see it more just as a walk in the spirit. God is a spirit, and his ministers are flaming fire. We live in a spiritual world, and I think the more we grasp that and actuate it really, then the closer we are to the edge of the truth, as it were, which is where we want to be. So when you embark on that kind of path, you can't really seek people out. It's one of the rules of sorcery, and there's a reason for it. You're not to go in search of people. You have to let them find you. And then when somebody finds you, that has a certain significance. But if you do it, then you're using, the risk is, of course, that you're using your ego to drive the interactions, and really they have nothing to do with you, not so directly. But if you place them in the hand of God, then he will drive the interactions, and he will bring to you the people that are to speak to you, as it were, or to whom you are to speak. That's how it works. I think it's reliable. I don't know, you know, I'm not really an expert on these things, but that's how I would view it anyhow. And this morning I was listening to RFTKOHAAIAH. I know I can say the letters, which is actually my favourite YouTube channel, despite the differences. and I was listening to him speaking about the sun and the moon very clearly, I thought, really, very clearly. And a few days ago, I met a man from Oregon on my walk, and his name was John. And he was an older man. I don't know, he might have been a few years older than I. A very handsome man, I thought. Sort of that rugged North American kind of look, and soft-spoken, kind of drawl. And he was telling me how beautiful it was in Oregon, and the cedars and the woodlands, although he admitted that drought was a problem and forest fires could be a problem for them. I told him I liked deciduous woods also, and he agreed with me that they were very fine. We were in a deciduous wood, of course, that's where we were speaking. And so I had a short chat with him, and I surmised that he was probably quite a wealthy man, but I don't know really much about him at all. And before parting, I was moved to recommend this channel of our good friend Hans Wermat, because he also lives in Oregon, and that's how I knew about it. I don't know why I did it, but I said it's a very odd thing, and it is an odd thing. Most people listening to a single video of Hans Wermat's would probably switch it off, I don't know. And he said, oh, is he a fundamentalist? And of course I realized, oh yes, repent for the kingdom of heaven and all the rest of it. That would sound to, somebody, a non-believer, for example, as being a fundamentalist position. And I said I didn't think so. I thought he, just had his own take on the Bible. But really, I was thinking about that matter of fundamentalism, and I suppose if an axiom is true, then it's true, and if that's going to be called fundamental, then let it be called fundamental. Of course one is fundamental. It is fundamentally true from the foundation. They use it as an insult, but any other position is just specious. To say that you believe some things about certain matters and not others. And really, the reason that I wouldn't classify this gentleman as a fundamentalist is because of his continued denial or opposition, perhaps more accurately, I don't like to say denial, but his opposition to the idea that Paul could be a legit contributor in the Bible, having decided that he is an interloper, and made arguments in that direction. And when I objected to that on his stream a few years ago, he sent me a snidey kind of comment on one of my music videos, and I realized that he didn't take kindly to being criticized, I suppose. Well, perhaps none of us do, but I certainly don't send snidey comments to people who criticize me. I wouldn't dream of it, but he did. He did that, and he was doing it, I think, quite regularly at the time. And this is his other fundamental flaw, I think, in that he has a very high opinion of his own interpretation of the matter, and he has decided that although all the world almost is transgendered to some measure, claiming in utero interference, and I don't dismiss this at all, there are some serious matters to be considered here, but he's then decided that he himself is a pure male and one of the few of that species, and he's sure of it. And this is special pleading, you see, from a philosophical position. You can't do that. You're not allowed to do it somehow. It doesn't work philosophically. It's like in the Bible, if I were to say that the things that I'm saying are coming directly from God, and I know that because I know it would be, excessively presumptuous to say something like that. And it is an error in itself, and it leads to further error. And really, his dismissal of almost the entire New Testament, I mean, what greater evidence does one need? Once we start taking ourselves too seriously, I mean, how would you ever think that could be a good thing? And of course, in doing that, you destroy the entire Bible. The Bible is a blood-sealed covenant, and every single jot and tittle is required. That's why the authorized version, as our gold standard, is important. Anyway, I better go to the shops now. It's been nice chatting, and I hope it's audible. Otherwise, I've been paid now by 3 of my customers, and a 4th customer contacted me yesterday and asked me to make up an invoice, and to my surprise, the invoice came to more than £3,000, and I hadn't really calculated that customer. I forget about the jobs, So things are looking up, and I'm sure I'll be able to get a posh recording system quite soon. God bless everybody.